Welcome to the Madness Creation Podcast, where self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? I hope you enjoy the following episodes coming up. Adrian Gervitz, Fran of Light the Torch, Lawrence Gowan of the legendary band Styx, V of Violent Idols, and Never Loved. At this show, we focus on mental health awareness with ending the stigma on mental health. Our goal and focus of this podcast is to touch people's hearts and to save lives. Studies have shown that 1 in 5 U.S. adults have experienced mental illness and 1 in 20 have experienced serious mental illness. We believe that the state of your mental health affects how you think, feel, and ultimately act. The more we talk about it, the more we can encourage people to address their mental health. If we help save one life through this, then it's worth it. We hope one day that people take it as seriously as we do when we have a physical ailment. Sometimes the topics we bring up are sensitive and might trigger the listener. This is why we have included timestamps in the episode description in case there is a part of the podcast you don't want to listen to. Or, of course, if there is only one part of the podcast you want to choose to listen to. No matter what, we love you for checking it out, and please give us feedback. We are working on setting up a Patreon, and we will have an announcement of said Patreon July 1st on Instagram TV. It would mean so much if you would support it. We are hoping to begin to have sponsors August 1st. Email us at madnesscreation@gmail.com with the subject line sponsorship if you are interested. We are also releasing a schedule July 1st to where you can find us easily. You can find us on Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, Geo7, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, and Podcast Addict. And for algorithm purposes, we would love you forever if you would choose to follow us on one of those platforms. It would help the algorithms. On that note, be safe, be well, and be balanced. Take it away, peoples. Welcome to the Madness to Creation Podcast, where self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? Hopefully you guys are taking care of your mental health and everything like that, given the tumultuous times that we're in. And sometimes we need some aggressive music to unleash that tension that we might be facing in our life. And who better to have than V from Violent Idols here. And V, how are you doing, my man?
Doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So how is your week going so far? Tell me about your week.
Pretty good. I mean, just working on some new music and working on our next moves. Obviously, we just put out our latest single, Revenge, and we're kind of looking forward to what's coming next.
Absolutely. So before we were talking in this podcast, for this podcast right now, he was talking about how if we should reschedule because he's in costume and stuff like that. And just tell me, so what is your costume get up consists of? And are you guys going to be like a Slipknot and change your costumes with each album, or how's that going to work?
Well, I'm always making slight modifications. It's kind of a process of trial and error for me, for sure. So at the moment, my favorite look that I have going on is black face paint I have a fabric kind of mask that goes over top of that. So you just kind of see my eyes and my mouth. And then I have a plastic kind of top half mask that I wear as well. And that's kind of my favorite because it requires putting on the least amount of paint.
Definitely.
so I started with just the paint and the top half mask, and this makes it now so I only got to paint around my mouth and my eyes rather than my whole face. But yeah, I mean, I like making adjustments. I like tweaking the wardrobe. I don't know if I'll ever change it super dramatically, or if I'll just kind of create a better, even more functional version of what I'm doing.
Yeah. So what inspired you to create this costume and stuff like that? I'm also a play director as well. So I get very interested in costumes cool. and theatrics and stuff like that. Do you guys do theatrics when you perform live too?
Yeah, well, a couple answers to that. So I'm a big wrestling fan, and because of that, I like theatrics and I like costumes and stuff like that too. So I think that kind of inspired it. I mean, one of the first songs we put out was the theme song for Jon Moxley and AEW. So we got our headspace in that world already. And when I started this project, I knew I didn't really want it to be about me per se. I didn't want to make myself the product really that much. So I was more interested in kind of creating creating some cool music and creating, you know, kind of a different reality, a different world. You know, I didn't want this to just be a solo album in a certain sense and be about me. I wanted this to be about the music and the messages and stuff like that. So that spurred me to think of something like this, and then it was just trial and error from there of what worked and what didn't, and trying on dozens and dozens of different masks and different paint combinations, and eventually just dialed it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So like what professional wrestlers like inspire you and stuff, and how much do you watch the AEW product? It is my favorite product right now in wrestling.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing going on in wrestling right now. I mean, it's given, I think, so many wrestling fans really, I think it's what they've wanted for years and what they've been craving, and you know, a little more mature product. You know, some different ideas and less of the WWE PG slip on a banana peel kind of aesthetic that we've seen. I mean, we're really kind of in the same place that we were in, you know, when WCW kind of popped up with Nitro back in the day. I think where WWE's just almost gotten too goofy, and it needs to be a little more real again. And I think AEW has done a better job of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you 100% on there. Like, hopefully we'll see like more diversification in the product and all that. And I'll tell you what, like, I would think writing a theme song for Jon freaking Moxley would be one of the toughest things, because people don't realize how complex his character is. And like, he has like, it's almost like, I don't want to compare him to Stone Cold Steve Austin because I think he's his own thing, but it's like, he's this good guy, yet he's willing to do heel things to do whatever it takes for him to win the match. And he's willing to literally go through hell and back. Would you say that like your music and the messages compared to Jon Moxley's character in the ring, like in terms of Unscripted Violence or anything else that you've written?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, I think when it comes to Jon, he's willing to you know, do what it takes and get as violent as it takes. But in that sense, he's kind of he always fights fair. He's never the one pulling the shady move on someone that didn't pull something shady first. But he's prepared. He's prepared to get his revenge, let's say. And you know, I think with us, you know, that's kind of what lots of our music is about too. It's sort of about questioning yourself. You know, how, you know, revenge in particular, it's a question of, you know, what would you do if you're under attack, if your family's under attack, your friends are under attack. Like, you know, we sometimes we like to talk about violence as it's only a bad thing and not obviously self-defense. And I think when you ask yourself those questions, you realize, you know, where your own level of integrity and passion lies. And it's not just about violence. It's about you know, it's about passion and figuring out who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of passion and how who you are, how would you describe yourself as a songwriter, as a musician, and all that stuff? Like I want to get into the headspace of V. What is that? Sure. What is that mind trip like, so to speak?
Yeah, and that's a great question. You know, I think for me, there's a few things that are really important, and one of them, I think in general, a big one for me is integrity and kind of having a meaning and a purpose behind the things you do, and you know, having kind of something that you're loyal to, whether that's you know, respect or your team or your band or just your ideals in general. And I think those things are important to me. I think a lot of our songs are about sort of calling out people that maybe don't have that strong of ethics, or don't or don't, you know, live by that, you know, the same kind of code, let's say. And you know, that's definitely a recurring thing that comes into my art, particularly with Violent Idols. And I mean, this project was something that I knew from the get-go would be sort of like something that can look, you know, it's kind of a lens for looking at kind of darker, more serious stuff like that. I mean, I've made lots of music before. I've been in other bands, and with this, I knew, okay, we can kind of go to a different place. So I kind of take each song as an opportunity to explore that, just that deeper place. I don't have a record label. I don't have people I'm responsible to. I don't got to turn in a single for the sake of something being catchy. All I got to do is make sure everything I do is meaningful and I like it. And that's where pretty much where every song starts and ends.
Absolutely. So, like when you have like critics of your music and stuff like that, how do you respond to that? Does that push yourself to become that much better of a songwriter, or are you just like saying F the critics, so to speak?
I would say F the critics. I mean, I've made a lot of music in my life, and I've dealt with that long enough and early enough to kind of get it out of the way. And it can be very hard. I mean, you don't just decide to do that and then do it. You kind of practice getting bullied for a bunch of years until you realize how to fight back properly, or look the other way, or go down a different road. Let's say, it's like I'm not, it's both. It's like you can avoid the haters by just not looking at where that stuff exists, whether it's in YouTube comments or on Twitter. I mean, if you're looking for stuff, you're gonna find it. And I like to try to kind of just put the blinders on, keep focused on just what I'm doing. And there's always going to be someone that doesn't like something you're doing. And we've been very grateful to have kind of a lot of support out the gate, and we haven't had to deal with a whole lot of that. But the internet's the internet, and there's always one guy somewhere, waiting to tear you down a notch.
Yeah, unfortunately that's the way people are, and so many people hide behind their keyboards and stuff like that. So do you find it hard like managing your like social media accounts in terms of like whether you see comments on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, or like how do you go about managing your social media to connect to your audience and all that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot of work, and I find we're better in some areas than others. I think we're really good at communicating with our fans on Twitter. Maybe not as good on Facebook for whatever reason.
Oh, fair enough.
And and stuff. So I like to focus on kind of where the activity is, and I think the wrestling community is very active on Twitter, so that's sort of where we've dug in. Instagram as well, and if someone's being for lack of a better word, a douchebag or a dummy of any sort. I mean, I kind of have no tolerance for that. At best, I'll try to turn their opinion around with a clever joke or something. But if that turns into a futile attempt, then I'm just going to block them. I'm just going to get rid of them. I don't think our fans, just no one needs that. If someone's not a fan, don't come to our Twitter page. And that's what it's for. It's not for us to engage with people that don't like us. I mean, I like to think people can come around, and I think there's times where someone has sent maybe an insult our way, and I've said something clever back, and I think I've actually earned a little respect in their eyes too. So you got to look at every moment as an opportunity to do better, and to hopefully optimistically change someone's mind. But at the same time, you can't spin your wheels, and you can't waste energy on people that are only going to steal more and more energy from you. So if you can't spin it back in your favor, then it's just not worth the time. Go focus on things that are more productive, like making new songs and blocking trolls on Twitter.
You know what? I can't think of more productive time in that. And I know we brought up Revenge a little bit ago, and like take us into the writing process of that song and how Violent Idols comes together to make music. And also like, do you plan on shopping around for like somebody from like AEW or say WWE or Impact Wrestling to pick it up?
Yeah, no, I mean, that'd be great. I'd love to have it on a pay-per-view, or I mean, any of our songs I think can work really good in the sports and wrestling arenas, not just obviously the Jon Moxley song. Yeah, I mean, when I started writing this song, as I start most songs, I'll generally start with some music, and I kind of like work on different musical beats and ideas and stuff until something jumps out at me, and I'm like, I want to work on that and make it a real song. So eventually, I kind of started with the synthesizers in this song,
Nice.
that opened the song. And I'd literally bought a new keyboard, and I was just like, let me try this keyboard on this on this song. So I just messed around and was like, oh, that kind of has a cool mood to it, and put some guitar on it, and kind of, probably lived with it for a couple days, just as a little rough musical concept, until I started singing something to it. And I find once I start singing something to an idea, it comes together really fast. And it's sort of like the hardest part is getting to that point where you have a vocal idea. But to me, once I have that initial vocal idea, the whole thing just kind of comes together from there. And revenge was a word in the song. Originally, it was only, I think, even said once in the song, and I ultimately added it in more places. But I knew it was just a cool idea, and I think for me, this is like a sequel to the previous EP that we did, and I think lots of good sequels are focused on revenge. Whether it's Revenge of the Nerds or or whatever. There's this aspect of, okay, we're about to come back up for air and show people our next evolution, and this song felt like that, and I think it kind of tried to write around that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has the response been so far to that song?
Awesome. I think I get nervous every time I'm going to put something new out of what will people think of this, and I'm always trying to kind of develop things and add more to it, just like the costume and stuff. And Revenge was kind of a conscious effort to be like, let me not worry about, being as raw. Maybe let me add some more technological elements in the song and some more electronic elements, and kind of make it a little bit slicker of a package than maybe some of our more straightforward hard rock songs. And then I do that, and before it comes out, there's a part of me that wonders, oh, are people going to think it's not heavy enough, or or something? And that's not the case. And I think it actually proved my point, that I believe that it's not just a guitar that makes something heavy. I think heavy can be content, and heavy can be attitude. And I think Revenge is heavy on content and attitude, even if it's not heavy on a traditional classical heavy metal riff.
Yeah, and as you said, like, people equate heaviness with like heavy metal music and stuff like that. Like, people don't realize that people like Johnny Cash has written some of the heaviest songs ever, but totally. If you just listen to the instrumentation, it doesn't sound heavy at all, but the mood that he brings and stuff like that, it just makes it really heavy and all that. And do you find making music and stuff like that to be a positive release for you in terms of mental health, to provide balance in your life?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this project specifically was almost put together because of that. For me, it's it contrasts everything else I do on a daily basis, and outside of this band, and it's kind of my my release. It's if I work in a lot of other kinds of music for different things, and different TV shows and bands and things, and
oh, wow.
And this is something that was like, oh, let me kind of blow off some steam with this project, so it's not my number one focus, it's not my only goal. It's I'm already in a certain sense living my dreams in the real world. This is kind of a space for me to maybe explore my nightmares more a little bit.
So what kind of nightmares do you have then?
Yeah, I mean, I think just society and people, and and ourselves. We talked a little bit about bullies and people on the internet and stuff, but I think oftentimes, we can be our own worst critics and our own biggest bullies, let's say. And I think learning to channel and to transmute, let's say, those feelings to where you don't where you're maybe not so hard on yourself and stuff. That's where things like art come into play for me.
Absolutely.
And this project is exactly that. It's like how if I'm feeling anger or frustration, I'm a polite enough guy in my own life that I'm not going to go take it out on a stranger. So I take it out on a song, and I try to get it out of me by putting it into something else and trying to maybe connect some aspect of personal growth to it by the end. So it's not just just meaningless anger. It's hopefully I've learned something about myself within that song, and then that becomes something I can share with others, and maybe they'll get something like that too. I think we there's a lot of people dealing with that stuff and dealing with mental health and mental illness, and I don't think they're always I don't think those they're always fully represented when it comes to music, and pop music and stuff is generally a lot about, lots of music, not just pop music, is about escapism and
absolutely
and things like that. And I'm kind of more interested in sort of addressing some of those uncomfortable things a little more head on, and those uncomfortable feelings. And I think that's the only way to sort of show other people that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel like you want to get revenge on somebody, and you don't have to do it to just because you feel it, but you shouldn't. It can be unhealthy to deny your own feelings and to turn away from them and not recognize them for what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a couple of heavy topics there. And in terms of revenge, in terms of anger and stuff like that, what do you find yourself doing? Like, let's say you're just having a really angry, pissed off day. What do you find yourself doing to help channel that that anger? Let's say music is not in the playbook.
If I'm not doing it with music, I like to write. I like to even if it's just journal, write your feelings down, and when they're on a page, it doesn't have to be a song. It can just be literally what happened and what you're thinking right now. And when it's on a page, you can kind of maybe take a step back from it a little easier and see it more objectively. Maybe see where maybe sometimes where your feelings were a bit immature about something, or where you let yourself emotionally jump the gun when you didn't need to. Aside from that, I'm really keen towards meditation and just trying to find some sort of silence. I think that's when we're feeling those ways, it's because there's too much noise, and whether it's in our own head or it's in the world around us. And finding silence can be tough. It's tough to turn all that stuff inside of us off. And
absolutely.
But if you could just it's like anything, you just practice it almost every day. I spend at least 10 to 20 minutes just doing nothing, saying nothing, turning my phone off, closing my eyes, and just feeling my my own self.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Would you say that's like the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself, like from the COVID-19 pandemic? Because obviously we were all locked down. We had a lot of time to reflect. What was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself?
No, that's it. You hit it right on the head there. And that's, I've always been aware of some of those things, and, tried, different points of my life have dabbled with different techniques to deal with anxiety and stress and, depression and all those things. But the pandemic definitely gave me some time to, really dig deep and develop a routine and to develop a routine long enough to see the positive effects of it on myself. And um, it's really crazy when you become stronger yourself, just how much other things around you get better, how much you become a better friend, how much you become a better husband, and a better, it's better all around. So it's really, I can't stress enough, I guess, just how important it is to work on yourself, to increase your own self-awareness, to practice better habits, to practice getting rid of bad habits.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Like I was like telling, I'm a special needs teacher by day, and I was just telling my students, like, sometimes you guys have just got to shut your brains off every once in a while. Quit being on your phone and all that stuff. And I would say that's probably my biggest challenge, is like always having to check my social media and stuff like that. So what would you say your biggest challenge is?
Social media is still so new in the scope of time, and at least in my lifetime, that I don't think we really fully know, how much it really affects us, and how much it's really kind of reprogramming our brains and everything. For me, just last week, or maybe almost 2 weeks ago, I decided, let me turn off all my notifications. Let me turn off all my notifications, other than, like, what's essential, the people that, my family texting me, and maybe my work email or something like that. But to not even get a notification when someone likes something or comments on something anymore is really been quite freeing.
Absolutely.
Like so much more than I thought. I thought maybe I'd like have it off for a couple of days, then I'd be like, oh, I just gonna turn this stuff back on. And after a day, I'm like, oh, my head just feels less cluttered. I'm not like, even if I wasn't spending time going to social media, just getting some vibration in your pocket or on your phone stops you from thinking or doing whatever you're doing. And I think for me, I want to try and be more present within every moment that I'm in. And
Absolutely.
that phone is, man, that's the thing that will carry you out of that moment of presence by far the easiest.
Absolutely. And kind of what I fear the most is, like, I kind of feel like COVID, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of COVID-19 pandemic. I kind of fear we're going to get completely back to where life was before COVID. And to me, we were just rushing around. We were busy 24/7 and stuff like that. I hope we can all find that balance, and
Totally.
that's kind of my main goal. So, like, what I usually ask my guests on the podcast is, what are your personal goals for the next week and everything like that? What's your personal goals?
That's cool. My of course, I'm like super busy right now, so I could totally identify with what you're saying of, we're getting back to normal life, and it's easy to get caught up back in the rat race again. And I kind of enjoyed having a little more time to over the year to reflect and stuff. And I too have to stop myself and be like, let me, still maintain some sense of balance going back into the world turning fully on. But yeah, so for the next week, unfortunately, I do have a lot of work I got to do. So I think knowing that, I know I need to get enough sleep, and I need to eat well, and I need to do things that allow me to work hard and not feel burnt out, and not feel just need to do things that make me feel healthy while maybe having to exert myself. And knowing I'm going to be busy, then I also got to try extra hard to set that some time aside for meditation, because if I'm rushing out the door an hour earlier, I got to find it somewhere. So maybe that means meditating on my lunch break instead, or something. And I think for me, just finding that balance, and not letting my own well-being slip away from myself. I think that's my goal for the next week.
You know what? That sounds like the perfect goal right there. And so real quick, like, what's your day job?
If I told you, then you'd be able to figure out who I am.
Oh, okay, fair enough. As long as it's legal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And
No,
yeah, so is that kind of cool? Like with you wearing the costumes and everything like that, that you're able to maintain that anonymous identity and stuff?
it is. It's very freeing. I didn't even anticipate going into this project how kind of freeing it would be, and to be honest, I thought people would figure it out really quickly. And the fact that no one really did, I just decided to run with it and keep it going. But it's nice, to be able to do music and I think of music like directing movies or something. Most people don't. People always want the artist to be one kind of person and all their art to just reflect who they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with movie directors, a director could direct a horror movie, he can direct a comedy, a drama. They're not necessarily tied to one thing. And this has allowed me this to me is like being able to explore a horror movie without my friends and family going, why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? Why are you so sad? Why do you got this frustration? It's nice not to have everything have to totally reflect, who I am on a regular day. And
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's sort of, it's not just the mask that hides who I am that gives me more confidence within the project. It's the identity of it, just it just not being about me. I'm not under scrutiny. Only kind of the music is.
Absolutely. So do you have any like live streams planned or anything like that coming up?
We do. Not one for our own show, but I actually just filmed one a couple days ago with a band called Gemini Syndrome.
Oh, nice,
And
dude.
and yeah, so the singer from that band, Aaron, actually appeared on a Violent IDOLS track called "Fuck You," which I recommend people check out. It's pretty cool. It says "fuck you" about 60 times, and they actually asked me to sing a song with them. So I sang a song with them for a live stream that that they filmed, and it's just being mixed right now. And they should announce a date when that'll premiere soon.
Oh, that's awesome. And what was the biggest thing that you learned from Aaron and Gemini Syndrome?
Oh, I learned so much from those guys. I mean, they're so talented. They're just extremely talented musicians, and Aaron has taught me a lot about vocals, a lot about harmonies, a lot about improving my screaming technique and things like that. And he's just been a really good friend in that way. Um, for me, I haven't had to I haven't played nearly as many shows as those guys, and I haven't had to play any shows yet as Violent IDOLS because the pandemic kind of kicked off not long after I launched.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of practice to gear up for this show with them, and gave me a whole different respect of how much work they have to do. I mean, I only had to sing one song with them, but they had to sing 12 songs. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to scream in the studio when you're only singing one song that day than when
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
singing 12 songs. So it kind of forced me to get off the couch, dust myself off, and get musically strong again, so I can do more of it.
Yeah, and I interviewed Gemini Syndrome several years ago, and Aaron is just a sweetheart of a guy. Like
He totally is. We have so many interesting, deep conversations, and he's a really good friend.
yeah, and he's just so philosophical and stuff. And I was gonna say, like, what would you like to add in regards to Violent IDOLS and all that? And also, one more question I have for you is, what is the soundtrack to your life? What is like a band, an album, a song, or a genre that you go to when times get difficult for you?
Yeah, no problem. I think there's a handful of bands and records I return to. I mean, I love Nine Inch Nails, The Fragile. I can listen to that record like any day of any week, and it's just an important, influential record to me. Kind of gives my brain all the stimulation it needs. There's also a band kind of in a similar vein. It's a German band called The Knot Twist, and any of the records are so good to me. They have this good mix of just cool production, electronics, but then like cool organic things like horns and just nice melodies and stuff. I really recommend people check that band out. They have several records, and a lot of people in the States don't know of them, but I saw them once when I was probably 15, 20 years ago. And it was actually the first band I ever saw with a laptop on stage, and it just stuck with me. And I think I'm a big fan of music technology and kind of pushing the boundaries. And I'm always with their own music, I'm always looking at how can I make things even more superhuman and do things that maybe we haven't done before or that I haven't heard before. And yeah, I mean, looking ahead, I'm looking to push the boundaries even more and get even more inventive and take even more risks with the project.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And if people go to YouTube and type in Revenge Violent Idols, you'll be able to check out a kick-ass single by them. And what else would you like to add in regards to where people can find you and all that stuff?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, as far as I know, I'm pretty certain we're the only Violent Idols out there. So you go to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, any of those places. Just type in Violent Idols, and we should come up first right there at the top. And yeah, we love to hear from people. We're a new band, and because we haven't had the chance to do a lot of touring yet, our only way to kind of communicate with people and connect with fans is online. So check some of our stuff out. Let us know what you think. Send us a message of what you're enjoying, what you're listening to, what you're doing, how you're dealing with the pandemic and all that. I mean, it's really nice to be able to. It's been really great to be able to hear from people and kind of still build a fan relationship without with even despite not being able to hit the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that 100%. And also check out the Jon Moxley theme, Unscripted Violence. And by the way, before we go, has Jon Moxley responded to the single, or have you met him?
Yes, I have met him, actually.
How cool was he?
He's so cool. I mean, he's super cool. He really is kind of who you see on TV. He's a very serious, dry guy. He's a good guy. He's a nice guy, but he's also, maybe a little hard to read too. He
sure is.
You always forget kind of how tall every wrestler is until you see him in person, because on TV they're all by each other, so they all, everyone's tall, so it's hard to tell who's really tall. And then you meet a guy like John in person, and you're like, wow, he's actually way taller than I think. And man, this guy could easily kick my ass in about 10 seconds. So this theme song better be good.
Well, the dude wraps himself in barbed wire and clotheslines people. I mean, come on,
I know. I don't know how he does it. It's a really cool thing to have our music be attached to, and it's just been such a wild ride since the first time he debuted to our song to now, to see him come out and have some awesome matches and just be able to bring so many fans our way too. And it's cool. We're not just we didn't just do a random song for a wrestler. We are wrestling fans, and I'm a big wrestling fan, and it's totally a dream come true to hear one of our songs on TV every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe when fans return and stuff like that, and maybe in the next AEW pay-per-view, you guys can actually be out there and perform while he walks out to the ring. So
that'd be so cool.
AEW, if you're listening, please do that for Violent Idols. They're a great band, so do that. So
awesome.
All right, V, this was so much fun, and let's catch up again sometime and talk wrestling.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Yeah, you too, V. Be well.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.